Yesterday, the news broke that former Michigan Governor Rick Snyder would plead not guilty to 2 counts of willful neglect of duty for his role in the Flint water scandal. So Snyder reportedly knew about the Legionnaire's disease outbreak in Flint as early as October 2014. That is according to a 3-year investigation by The Intercept. That devastating outbreak led to at least 12 deaths of Flint residents.
So journalist and CEO of Status Quo, Jordan Chariton, he's been following the developments of this case for years. He's here to discuss the Snyder case. Jordan, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it, man.
Great to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Jordan, break down the latest charges. As I understand it, these are not like the full accounting of justice that still needs to be done, and put it in the context of the full investigation regarding Flint.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, there was actually 2 separate investigations. One was started in 2016 by a special prosecutor, kind of like the Robert Mueller, I guess, of Flint. That was an outside independent counsel. His team went to 2019, and then in 2019, current Attorney General Dana Nessel fired that whole team and started the investigation new. So yesterday, they announced charges from Dana Nessel's team, the current Attorney General, which included willful neglect, which is a misdemeanor against Governor Snyder. Our reporting at The Intercept is about the original investigation, that special prosecutor, and we found what they found, which was an avalanche of phone calls between Governor Snyder, his chief of staff, as well as his health director in October 2014. The calls occurred at the same time that alarm bells were going off in Snyder's environmental and health department about the Legionella outbreak, which was a waterborne disease that came from the Flint River switch that killed. The official number is 12, but PBS and others report as many as hundreds of people died from that. So these calls to prosecute the original investigation were kind of smoking guns that these people were not on the phone talking about the weather as Legionella was being, emails and phone calls from top administration officials. We also found a briefing, an in-writing briefing that was authored to the governor that mentioned Legionella in October 2014. Kind of important since he testified to Congress that he didn't know about it till January 2016.
And so it looks like he knew about it back in October 2014, which is a long time, by the way, before January 2016. That is a significant lapse of time. Did he take any steps during that period to try to deal with the problem, ameliorate the situation, get to the bottom of what was going on with the Flint water?
I mean, I know reporters are supposed to be robot neutral journalists, but straight up, the steps that were taken looks like a cover-up. I mean, just an old-fashioned cover-up. I mean, you had this avalanche of phone calls. You had his right-hand man, who, by all accounts, was kind of his fixer. He was charged yesterday with extortion, perjury, misconduct in office, and obstruction of justice. To Flint residents, this right-hand man had always introduced himself as being here on behalf of Governor Snyder. Governor Snyder had dispatched him to Flint to basically be the point person on the crisis. He was allegedly offering payoffs to sick Flint residents, not to publicly rock the boat. He was allegedly trying to influence Snyder officials, set their stories straight before they interviewed with investigators. He was allegedly misusing funds, state funds, in relation to the Flint water cover-up. So really the question is, how would the governor's top advisor and right-hand man be doing all of this without Governor Snyder's knowledge? The only steps that were really taken by my reporting was active PR measures to stop the Legionella outbreak from going public. And for your audience, I think the best analogy would be, I mean, all of Washington, all of the media was outraged when we saw that tape between President Trump and Bob Woodward from February, where President Trump is fully aware that the coronavirus is deadly, airborne, not the flu. And he goes out publicly, basically equating it to the flu. This is kind of different because Snyder didn't say anything publicly. Nobody did. They just continued privately trying to find the source of the outbreak without telling the Flint residents that it was occurring.
Unbelievable.
It's so crazy, Jordan. And here's the thing. It's been 6 years. I still don't understand how the charges are just now getting filed. So from this moment forward, what should people look to, and will actual justice get done, in your opinion?
So this new investigation by the Attorney General started in 2019. They just announced 9 charges. They claim the charges that they filed do not preclude them from filing new charges as new evidence presents itself. I've spoken with lawyers that, it's pretty difficult after charging the governor with a misdemeanor to then, after the fact say, hey, we found the smoking gun. Right. Now we're going to charge him with more. Our reporting indicates the original prosecution team had found evidence not only of willful neglect, which was charged yesterday, but misconduct in office, which is a felony. And they were, if I give a percentage to it, about 75% of the way towards charging him with involuntary manslaughter before they were dismissed. And that was independently confirmed by 2 other reporters yesterday, that the original team was gunning for involuntary manslaughter. So to Flint residents and others, my opinion, I don't want to speak for justice. I'm not from Flint, but I will say, I would say this is the best you're getting against Governor Snyder. And I think Attorney General Nessel and her team eventually will have to explain why one investigation saw misconduct in office and potentially involuntary manslaughter, but they found misdemeanor willful neglect.
And what's the maximum penalty associated with these charges?
For Governor Snyder, there's 2 counts of willful neglect. So each count faces a potential of 1 year in jail and a $1,000 fine.
Yeah,
gotcha.
What a joke.
For covering up the poisoning of an entire American city. Jordan, you've been all over this story. So grateful for your work. So grateful for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thanks, guys.
2021 has gotten to a rough start. Host of the Portal podcast, Managing Director of Teal Capital, Eric Weinstein. He's going to join us to give us his thoughts on healing the country when Rise continues.